It's Darcey here, and I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to answer my questions. My first question is, what motivates you to start writing?
Hi, I'm Pádraig Kenny, and I'm the author of Stich, and I'm delighted to be here today to answer your questions. I think I'm really lucky in that I don't need much motivation to actually start writing. If anything, what motivates me is whatever idea pops into my head. In this instance, it's Stich, who's basically a boy who's a Frankenstein's monster who's stitched together from various dead bodies. And I just wanted to find out what happens when a boy like that is thrust out into the world, a world he's never really encountered before. So really what motivates me when I write any story is finding out what happens to each character, these weird, unique characters that pop into my head. And also, really what motivates me is entertaining myself. I like to write a story that entertains me first and foremost, and then will entertain my readers. So I suppose that's really what motivates me more than anything, is finding out what happens with my characters and how I can make things interesting for me as a storyteller and as a reader of my own books. So that's essentially what motivates me.
What drew you to a gothic theme?
I always liked horror books when I was growing up. As you can see, there's some Stephen King on the shelf here behind me. And I like mysterious and atmospheric settings. Graveyards are great if you're describing them in a story and give a nice, weird, supernatural feel to things. And I'm really attracted to writing these kind of atmospheric environments, and just to give the reader a sense that something might happen, something supernatural might happen. And with Stich, I've got some of that going on, and I really enjoyed creating these environments and describing these weird supernatural things that are happening, because I find it makes the story more interesting and gives the reader a sense of threat, even though afterwards you might find out that there wasn't any threat at all. Just to kind of create a sense of atmosphere, a big gothic castle, like I said, graveyards, fog, dark forest, all these things create a really nice kind of image in the reader's head and the writer's head too. And I really enjoy writing these kind of scenes and these kind of dramatic moments.
My next question is, why does the professor decide to create Stich?
It's a really good question. You might as well ask me why I like to write. I suppose, like the professor and myself, we're similar in some ways. We're trying to create something new and different that we can put out into the world, something that's interesting. And I suppose that's why the professor did create Stich. Although a really funny thing to think about is that I kind of don't know why he did it in a way. I don't know the inner workings of the professor's mind, and I always find that's really interesting when you're writing about your characters, that you don't fully know them. But I'd like to guess that it's because he wanted to create something new and different that no one had ever seen before. And that's what I'm doing with a lot of my books. Every book I write, I try to make it very different and unique. So it's something that's never been in the world before. A bit like Stich and his friend Henry, who are both two very different characters, although made in very similar ways.
My next question is, what kind of creation would you bring to life if you were a creator, and why?
Now, if I was a genius creator, what kind of machine would I create? Do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to create a machine that would transfer my thoughts and my stories directly onto the page. Because as a writer, your stories in your head and the words and the sentences always sound that bit better in your head. And sometimes when you write them down on the page, they may be good and they may be interesting and they may be entertaining, but they're never as perfect as they are in your mind. So I'd love to create a machine that does that. I read a story before where a writer talked about creating a machine like that, and I thought that would be really interesting. Transfer your thoughts almost telepathically onto the page so that the book you write in the first draft would be absolutely perfect. And I think that would be an absolutely wonderful invention.
Describe your book in 3 words or phrases.
I would say gothic, because of the weird, strange, supernatural atmospheres. I would say another extreme, I call it heartwarming as well, because I'm hoping that people, feel affection for the characters. And also I would use the word moving, because I'm hoping as a writer to create a story that makes people feel emotions, feel happy, feel sad, or whatever. So I'm hoping that it's moving. I'm hoping that it's all these three things. Thanks a million for your questions. They were absolutely fantastic. And I hope you enjoy Stich.
Thank you for taking the time to answer my questions. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.